Past religions have always represented the spiritual nature of man with little or no concern for his carnal or mundane needs. It has become necessary for a new religion based on man's natural instincts to come forth. They have named it. It is called Satanism. Howdy, neighbor. I'm the Satanist next door. Join me while I read some of my favorite scriptures from the Satanic Bible. The ones closest to my heart are the ones that help me deprogram the brainwashing. So without further ado, let's have Bible study. As I've outlined in previous videos, I started having my doubts about my faith probably when I was 9 or 10. By the time I was 12 or 13, I was a super Christian. By the time age 14 rolled around, I was basically an atheist. Rejecting the faith that you're raised in is a rather difficult process. That's why I was a quiet atheist for a while. Didn't really make it much of a conversation piece. Of course, atheism isn't really a belief system. It doesn't provide much of a guidepost for someone who's looking for something to make sense, looking for a community, and looking for any evidence at all that he's not completely insane. Right about the time I turned 16, I met a Satanist. He told me a little bit about the philosophy. I bought a copy of the book for myself. Once I got over my fear that the demons were going to leap out of the paperback and take control of my body, I read it. I read it in secret because I believed my father might literally kill me. No, I did not misuse that. I do not mean figuratively. I mean literally. I had all these doctrines that had been force-fed until I started to figuratively vomit them up. Once I stopped accepting these doctrines, I stopped vomiting, figuratively. But I continued to intellectually dry heave for a couple of years. Worst feeling ever. Finally, the philosophy outlined by Anton LaVey provided me with some of the tools I needed to put my dogma in a kennel. I request reasons for your golden rule and ask the why and wherefore of your 10 commands. Before none of your printed idols do I bend in acquiescence, and he who saith thou shalt to me is my mortal foe. I question all things as I stand before the festering and varnished facades of your haughtiest moral dogmas. Lo and behold, all this is fraud. No creed must be accepted upon authority of a divine nature. Religions must be put to the question. There is nothing inherently sacred about moral codes. They are the work of human hands, and what man has made, man can destroy. For belief in one false principle is the beginning of all unwisdom. Whoa! Slow down there, Anton. You're making too much sense. That was just a few selected readings from the very first book, the Book of Satan. Apart from some of these things that encourage one to be intellectually honest with oneself, it's also interspersed with sacrilegious blasphemy. I dip my forefinger in the watery blood of your impotent mad Redeemer and write over his thorn-torn brow the true Prince of Evil, the King of Slaves. Behold the crucifix. What does it symbolize? Pallid incompetence hanging on a tree. Judah's gonna need some burn cream for that sick-ass burn. There is no heaven of glory bright, and no hell where sinners roast. Choose ye this day, this hour, for no Redeemer liveth. That was a lot to take in. The fact that he was able to just unabashedly say these truths that I'd been required to believe my entire life were unequivocally and without a doubt absolute lies. I was shocked and appalled, but I was also fascinated. Had to read on. It gets juicier, right? Oh, Anton, he did not disappoint. See, I'd have a problem with the methods by which we were required to atone for our sins. Sacrificing goats or lambs or something. You know, you take some livestock, you stick it on the altar, you set it on fire, you let it burn completely to ash, Nobody gets lamb chops. Hannibal Lecter would be so disappointed. And it makes a pleasing odor unto Jehovah. And then you're forgiven. Because nothing rights the wrongs like the wanton slaughter of a helpless animal. I mean, we won't stand for that for more than a couple thousand years, am I right? Enter the special Jewish construction worker who's been elected to sacrifice himself for our sins. Some reason this Jehovah character cannot forgive anyone unless blood has been shed. And Hannibal's back in the game. Anton LaVey had a much more sensible route to atonement. When a Satanist commits a wrong, he realizes that it is natural to make a mistake, and if he is truly sorry about what he has done, he will learn from it and take care not to do the same thing again. If he is not honestly sorry about what he has done, and he knows he will do the same thing over and over, he has no business confessing and asking for forgiveness in the first place. So there he's telling me precisely the kind of thing I needed to hear. On these activities that you're actually not really ashamed of. You're only told that you need to confess to the special Jewish construction worker. You're only told that you need to feel guilty about this. You're only told you've been wrong since you were born. Slowly come to terms with the fact that the popularity of an opinion does not add validity to it whatsoever. That the Bible's not necessarily correct just because a few million people think it is. The Lord works in delirious ways. Satan represents opposition to all religions which serve to frustrate and condemn man for his natural instincts. That makes sense. I was becoming increasingly aware that I had been misled by a confederacy of charlatans and the people that had been duped by them. Something about this wasn't working for me. Whatever alleged truth is proven by results to be but an empty fiction, let it be unceremoniously flung into the outer darkness, among the dead gods, and other useless lumber and wreckage. Models with predictive capability and methods that produce results are preferable over models that have no predictive capability and methods that do not produce results. Wonder why the God of Abraham didn't think of that one. You cannot love everyone. It is ridiculous to think you can. Every farcical religionist claims to love his enemies, even though when wronged he consoles himself by thinking God will punish them. That really hit home. The doctrine of unconditional love and forgiveness was something I'd been raised with. It later became clear to me that it opened me up to people with an arrested sense of personal responsibility because they've never actually had to be liable for any of their actions. Everyone's expected to forgive them, so they never actually have to become better people. Being compelled to forgive everyone all the time turns you into a doormat. The Pentecostals' obsession with sex and the puritanical self-loathing, a human body and its functions, turn people into completely backed up, lazy-eyed psychos that masturbate too much, and then constantly feel guilty because they masturbate too much. They've been so heavily repressed, with no proper outlet for their sexual desires, they've become completely detached. I'm an armchair psychologist. Was not healthy. That much of it was clear to see. Satanism encourages any form of sexual expression you may desire, so long as it hurts no one else. Seem to have a much more logical attitude towards sexual preference. Satanism advocates consent. It was right about here, page 75, chapter called Not All Vampires Suck Blood. This one really squeegeed my goggles. I can see. Many people who walk the earth practice the fine art of making others feel responsible and even indebted to them without cause. Satanism observes these leeches in their true light. Psychic vampires are individuals who drain others of their vital energy. This type of person can be found in all avenues of society. They fill no useful purpose in our lives and are neither love objects nor true friends. Yet we feel responsible to the psychic vampire without knowing why. Sounds like one or two religious leaders I could think of. What are we supposed to do about that, Anton? The traditional way to banish a demon or elemental is to recognize it for what it is and exorcise it. Recognition of these modern-day demons and their methods is the only antidote for their devastating hold over you. Well, I'm gonna need a young satanic priest and an old satanic priest. Get the unholy water.
The power of Satan compels you.
Religionists have kept their followers in line by suppressing their egos, by making their followers feel inferior. The awesomeness of their God is ensured. Satanism encourages its members to develop a good, strong ego because it gives them the self-respect necessary for a vital existence in life. To become a Satanist, it is unnecessary to sell your soul to the devil or make a pact with Satan. This threat was devised by Christianity to terrorize people so they would not stray from the fold. Hey, that sounds familiar. I think I've been terrorized like that. Satan was invented by the formulators of every religion on the face of the earth for only one purpose: to preside over man's so-called wicked activities. Consequently, anything resulting in physical or mental gratification was defined as evil, thus assuring a lifetime of unwarranted guilt for everyone. If evil they have named us, evil we are. And so what? Star Trek nerd in me totally heard echoes of Jean-Luc Picard.
If we're going to be damned, let's be damned for what we really are.
Another one of my favorite bald philosophers. If you do not believe in what your religion teaches, why continue to support a belief which is contradictory with your feelings? Fucking A, Anton, I'm sold. Anyway, that's probably enough for now. Join me next time whenever I'm not too lazy to make a video. Satan and I love you. Mwah. I mean literally.